Okay, I think we're finally on and on YouTube. Give me just a moment. And my computer keeps locking up. Give me a moment. Okay. Again, my computer is very slow this morning. Give me a moment, please. See if it works at all. Okay, well, apparently Adobe Acrobat isn't going to work until I reboot my computer. I don't know if that's going to matter a great deal this morning. All of the criminal cases we can reset until I think it would be safer to do it next week because we're supposed to get very cold again Wednesday night. And I'm trying to pull up the calendar here. It looks like we have dockets on the 22nd and the 24th here in Wilson County. Does anybody have any idea how large those dockets are? No.
I believe 22nd is pretty full, Judge. The 24th, I believe, is a better day.
Okay. All right. Well, if that doesn't work.
I want everybody to know that I've admitted that in open court, and I apologize. If you have friends or relatives or folks that wanted to watch this proceeding today,
all right, Mr. Keendawes is broadcasting. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to go to chat and I will post to everyone in the meeting. Criminal resets for 2/24 or as allowed by court. So if you just want 2/24, you can send that to me or send that to everyone in chat. I'll make a copy of it. All right. And is anyone here on the civil docket from Atascosa County or Wilson County?
I'm here from Wilson.
Okay, what's your name?
Shayna Perel. I was trying to dial in, but it's not letting me dial in.
All right, ma'am. And what sort of case do you have? All right, Ms. Perel, what sort of case do you have?
She is one of our criminal defendants, Your Honor. She is on
Oh.
page 2 of the docket.
All right, I can't open my dockets up, so I don't know what they say. Okay, I see no one from San Miguel versus Peeler in Atascosa County. So I assume that all the Houston lawyers are frozen in. And Austin lawyers, I don't know about the ones from San Antonio. I guess it's pretty bad all the way around. We also put out that we would start Atascosa County Court at 10 o'clock. So it may be they're going to sign in later. All right, so all I'm going to ask is on the criminal cases, if just to me, defense counsel, whatever date, we can work a date out, or if you just want 224 for right now, you can post that. And after that, you're released. I'm going to ask Ms. Marcinic?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is that how you pronounce it?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, all right. Okay, good morning. Good to have you here. Okay, I'm going to ask you to.
Good morning.
I've got lots of things I need to be working on here. I'm just going to leave the meeting running. So anybody just post whatever reset dates you get, and you're free to take off after that. And I will see what's up as the day goes on.
So am I good to go? I'm sorry, I couldn't understand anything. My phone keeps like totally freezing and my phone's on
Okay.
2%. I'm charging my phone in the car because of the
Who's your
electricity's
attorney?
out.
Who is your attorney?
Her attorney is Ruben Flores.
All right, Mr. Flores is online. He will be in touch with you about when you're supposed to be back in court. Yes. All right, and Colton Mann is posted that he can't hear. We're also having some issues with Zoom because the last person who was speaking was muted, was muted, but somehow we could still hear her. So I don't know what's happening. All right, so does anybody need to talk with me about anything?
Is my case rescheduled too for the 24th?
Who's your attorney, sir?
King Dog.
Yes, I'm here for him, Your Honor, and I'll post in chat the reset date to 224.
All right, then you're Ms. Gibbons, your reset for 224, you're excused.
Thank you, sir. You have a blessed one.
All right, I am going to just mute my computer and plug away here on a whole bunch of things I need to rule on. And Ms. Cavazos-Jones, I don't know what sort of case. Let me see if it's going to open up.
She was here, Your Honor,
It is
for
a
a
criminal.
plea on
criminal plea,
Felix Velasquez plea, yes.
Okay. All right, then yes, ma'am, you are excused. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I'm sorry. So am I excused as well? I do apologize. My phone
Yes.
keeps up so bad.
Yes, ma'am, you're excused.
Okay, and how would I know about a reset court date?
You'll get that from your attorney, Mr. Flores.
Okay, thank you.
He was on, but he is either very still or he's frozen.
I'm sorry?
You'll get that from your attorney. Okay.
Judge, do you need Cindy, Ms. Sawyers or I to stay on or probation?
I don't believe so, no. I think
Okay. Thank you, Judge.
Judge,
Yes.
I know Jennifer Tapia has a civil case. I'm texting her now. She's having trouble logging on.
I just got on, Your Honor. But it's very slow.
Okay, what sort of civil case do you have?
We had a motion to, and I can't get my video to start. We had a motion to modify conservatorship based on medical issues with the juvenile child.
All right. I mean, given the circumstances, unless everybody shows up and says they're ready to go, notwithstanding the weather, I mean, I'm not going to hear a contested case this morning.
I'm sorry, Your Honor, what did you say?
Given the circumstances, unless everyone signs on and says that they're ready to go, I'm not going to hear a contested case this morning.
Okay, I don't believe, I don't see. Mom never filed an answer and has never responded.
Okay, if it's not, well.
So I don't know.
All right, I'll let you decide if you want to try and go ahead, and I'm going to ask someone from the clerk's office, just actually, if you'll just stay on the line, just stay on the meeting, because I need to reboot my computer because I'm unable to open PDF files.
Okay, I'm going to stay on for a minute because I'm writing down dates as people are posting them.
Okay, and well, and I need, and don't forget, you can just set your Zoom up to save, or you can hit save before you exit. But I will, am mine supposed to save automatically? But if you will stay on until I come back, I will make you the host.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, if I don't choose who the host is, it just picks someone at random, is my experience. So whenever my computer is crashed. Okay, I am going to log off, reboot my computer, and hopefully when I come back, I can open up PDF files and have some idea of what was on the docket that we're resetting. And if you reset your cases, Ms. Tapia, the default reset date is 2/24. If that is good, great. If it's not good, get back with me when I come back.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Tapia,
Yes.
just wanted to let you know that on the CUFUS case, the return of services on the subpoenas have been e-filed. So in
Okay.
case you ask that.
Okay, all right.
I just don't have any way to get it to them.
And she never filed an answer, correct? Last I checked, she hadn't, so.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, it's Cindy and Debbie. I spoke to Ed Shaughnessy this morning. He's stuck in his house without power, so no internet. He wants to reset Hector Quintanilla.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Cindy, are we just resetting everybody to 2/24? Are we going to give other people new dates that you all may have to send letters out to?
Well, Judge is saying give everybody 2/24. What I am thinking we can do is go ahead and put everybody for 2/24. I'm not going to send letters, but we'll notify the attorneys via email that it is their responsibility to contact their clients.
Okay.
Does that sound okay, Debbie?
Yeah, that sounds fine. I mean, that's what he said, that as of
Yeah.
right now, everything's 2/24 unless someone contacts and changes that date.
Yeah, and we have the extradition on that date, so I don't know how that extradition could take some time.
Okay.
Cindy,
Yes.
on page 1, Roland Alfaro, I know that Ms. Hesbrook was going to get a reset last week from Jennifer. Do you have by chance that date?
No, Jennifer did not give me that date.
Okay.
So I will check with Jennifer and go over the docket with her later just to see if there is any dates that are different than what we have.
Who y'all wanting first? Who's first? Who's first?
Jail, we are not going to be doing any cases today. We are resetting to 224. I will send y'all a message, or I'll send it to Sergeant Reyna as to what the reset dates are for everyone that is on the docket.
Alrighty. Yeah. Hold on. So we're getting reset today?
Yes, everybody that is in custody will be reset. I know Max Motto-Keen has been reset to 224. At this point in time, we are resetting everybody to 224 unless I hear something different from their attorney. So if you'll just let Sergeant Reyna know, we will do this again on the 24th.
Alrighty, sounds good.
Thank you.
Okay, tell them that they're resetting. They're resetting.
Hey, Ruben, if you've logged your people in, I think you're good to go. I think he just logged off.
All right, I'm back. I have Acrobat running. And Ms. Tapia, were you still wanting to go ahead with your case?
Yes, Your Honor, my client has come in from New Mexico. He drove in Sunday night to Monday. We have a special needs child who mom is not addressing his medical needs. And my client is asking that conservatorship be changed sole managing to joint managing, and that he be allowed to have the exclusive right to make the medical decisions for the child.
All right, give me a moment to go and look at the clerk's records.
Okay, thank you.
So far, so good.
Richard Briggs, can you hear me?
Yes, Cnty.
Okay, so Richard, the only person that I show you were on the docket for was for, on page 1, Brian Rentals.
Yes. And
And that you had him on his original. Yes, you're not, that you should have been removed from that. He'll need a new attorney. So I think you're good.
okay. All right. Well, I hope everybody's staying safe. I'll see you around.
All right, thanks for checking in.
All right. Bye-bye.
Okay, apparently I crashed out for a while. I'm back. Ms. Tapia, I went and looked at the clerk's files. I see a return that was personally served.
Yes.
The subpoena duces tecum, and it looks like the citation was served by certified mail on the motion to modify. In the
Yes,
motion
Your Honor.
order. Okay, I do not see where the return of that citation includes a copy of the green card.
Let me find that.
Oh, wait, you know what? Give me just a moment.
It should be on there where it has, it's electronically done. It looks
Yeah,
like,
give me just a moment.
okay.
Good morning.
Morning, give me a moment. I just want people to see that I'm not completely crazy. When I go down, if you look at the bottom of this return, it says page 1 of 1. But when you go down to the print part, it lets you print 2 pages or download 2 pages. But below it says 1 of 1. So when I go and look and print it, yes, I printed 2 pages.
Okay.
So, I don't know what happens sometimes. Okay. All right. Who had appeared just now?
Captain Lopez.
He's one of my witnesses, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. You stop sharing. All right. So I'll take judicial notice of the contents of the court's file. The return of service and the proper format has been on file since the first week of January. And there's been no answer filed. And since about the 3rd week of January, there has been a return of service of a subpoena, both of which were filed on the respondent. And there's been no answer filed. It's 10 a.m. There was talk yesterday of delaying court until 10 a.m. So we'll go ahead and proceed. All right. And Mr. Quillian, what sort of case do you have?
Your Honor, I'm here. There was a witness that was subpoenaed, Sasha Griffith, and I'm her attorney. I'm just here to be with her.
Oh, okay. Okay.
She's a witness.
All right. So let me ask all of the witnesses to raise their right hands, including Mr. Kufas, if you're going to testify. Okay. And there's somebody with a Schultz TK.
Yes, Your Honor, that's Kimberly Schultz. She's with.
Oh, she has signed on. Okay, so she's present. So have y'all had an opportunity to confer?
She's one of my witnesses as well, Your Honor.
Okay, I'm sorry. Who's the respondent?
The respondent is-
SCHULTK, that's me. I'm Kimberly. I'm with Child Protective Services. I'm a witness.
Respondent is Kimberly Ann Wright, Your Honor.
Okay, the Kimberlys had threw me there. I knew there was a change in the name. So Kimberly Wright's not here. All right. Each of you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you may give in the matter now on trial will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do, yes.
I do, yes.
I do.
Yes, I do, yes.
All right. And that was Martin Kufas, Sasha Griffith, Ms. Schultze, and Alex L. And what is your full name, sir?
Lopez, Lopez.
All right. Mr. Lopez, if you would remove your hat while you're in court, I would appreciate it.
Sorry.
All right. Go ahead, Ms. Tapia.
Thank you, Your Honor. I will call Martin Kufas.
Go ahead.
And Mr. Kufas, would you please state your name for the record?
My name is Martin Kufas.
Okay, and you were previously married to Kimberly Ann Kufis, now known as Kimberly Ann Wright, correct?
Correct,
And there was one child that was born of the marriage, is that correct?
correct.
And that, what was that child's name?
The child's name is Nathaniel Frank Kufis.
And what year was he born?
He was born in 2003,
In what month?
October.
Okay. And what is his current age?
He is 17.
Now, as part of your decree, you were given certain rights with regard to visitation, possession, with regard to his education, medical rights, and everything like that. Is that correct?
Yes,
And is Nathaniel, is he what we would call a special needs child?
yes, he is.
And what are the special needs that Nathaniel has?
He was born with a genetic disorder called Prader-Willi syndrome, also called Prader-Willi syndrome. And also he has been diagnosed as being on the autism spectrum.
Okay, and could you please explain, to your knowledge, what Prader-Willi syndrome is?
Prader-Willi syndrome is a defect of one of the chromosomes. The characteristics are low muscle tone from birth, a food craving, a food-seeking behavior that often leads to morbid obesity, and also some other features such as very blonde, not albino, but very blonde, and sometimes speech and cognitive disorders.
Okay, and with regard to the autism, is where on the spectrum, to your knowledge, is Nathaniel?
Well, I don't know exactly. He is well into the spectrum. He has been diagnosed, and that manifests itself frequently in outbursts, meltdowns, and as he's gotten older and larger, the meltdowns, I am told, are increasingly violent. And
Okay. And approximately how tall and how much does Nathaniel weigh, to your knowledge?
based on my perusal of Nexus records, Nathaniel is 5'10" to 5'11". And last time he was weighed, he was 241 pounds and had been assessed as being morbidly obese.
Okay. And how does this affect him?
Well, the morbid obesity coupled with the low muscle tone means that he is largely inactive. And also, I know that it is important for a Prader-Willi diet, a low-calorie diet, to be followed. And this also means that wherever he is living, food has to be locked away. There is a very pronounced food-seeking behavior, and historically, Prader-Willi people have sometimes eaten, stuffed themselves with food to the point of injury.
Okay. And does the Prader-Willi syndrome, does this affect his longevity in any way?
Yes, unfortunately, Prader-Willi people have often not lived out of young adulthood. It is remarkable if they reach middle age.
Okay, and to live beyond adulthood and possibly reach middle age, that takes special care, treatment, that all the different needs are addressed with regard to the behaviors that a particular person experiences with Prader-Willi. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And what year were you and Ms. Wright divorced?
We were divorced in 2015.
Okay. And under the divorce, what type of access were you given to Nathaniel?
I was given 2 hours of access just before Thanksgiving and just before Christmas.
Okay. And Miss at that time, Miss Wright was given sole managing conservatorship. Is that correct?
Yes, as I recall.
And Ms. Wright was also given the exclusive right to make the medical decisions for Nathaniel. Is that correct?
Yes, as I recall.
And what rights did you have with regard to any medical decisions for Nathaniel?
I was supposed to be kept fully informed in a timely manner, and that seldom has happened.
Okay. And from 2015 to present, what kind of information have you received with regard to Nathaniel?
I have received occasional text messages, sometimes with an attachment, just anecdotal about a meltdown, a 911 call, or this and that, but nothing that was regular, nothing that was comprehensive.
Okay. And what changed that that you got involved, that you decided that it was time to make you in charge of Nathaniel's medical decisions?
Well, the point at which I had been waiting and decided to pull the trigger on this, so to speak, in August of 2020, when my ex-wife texted me out of the blue, demanding that at long distance, I live in Las Cruces, New Mexico, that I make arrangements and pay for repairs to the roof of the family home in Eagle Creek Ranch subdivision, the home, by the way, that I still pay for. And she mentioned, and I asked her why she could not contact a roofer. She cited COVID concerns and also the fact that she had her hands full right now, that Nathaniel was fighting for his sanity at a facility called Nexus in Houston. At that point, I realized that it was time to jump in. This was as I said, I pulled the trigger and I contacted Nexus, and through Nexus staff and also my provision of copies of the 2015 divorce decree as PDF, was able to establish my right to receive information about his admission and his treatment.
Okay, and what did you learn with regard to why he was admitted to Nexus in when he was that in August, or was it prior to August?
I think he had been admitted once before. He had been admitted twice, but this time in August, it came after there was a particularly bad meltdown, my word, at the home, in which he, I think, threatened his mother and possibly broke some windows in the house with a brick. And as I understand it, 911 call was made, and possibly a Wilson County deputy was on site, and Nathaniel was transferred to Nexus more or less on an emergency basis.
Okay, and when you received information, or how did you, when you discovered that he was in Nexus and you began communicating with them, what did you learn about Nathaniel and his treatment?
Well, what I learned was that it confirmed that yes, there had been an episode in the home, and that his mother had sent him to Nexus. And as I further spoke with Nexus staff, who were very cooperative, learned that he was in a residential treatment program. He was living in one of their units with constant staff presence. He was on a Prader-Willi specific diet of 1,000 calories a day. He also was on a number of prescription and non-prescription drugs that were subject to modification and manipulation. I learned the composition of his care team, which had a number of individuals and their specialties, and he was losing weight. If I recall correctly, his admission weight was something 260 odd pounds, and his weight by the time of his discharge was down around 241. Also, I learned from Nexus staff, to include nurses in his unit, whom I phoned at night to check on him, so that his behavior was under control. Nathaniel was responding well. He had occasional flare-ups involving other patience, but he was doing well. And on both the autistic and also the Prader-Willi front, he was making definite progress.
Okay, and with regard to, you said that on his discharge, was he discharged from Nexus?
His mother, Kimberly Wright, removed him against medical advice.
Okay, and is this the first time to your knowledge that she has done this?
I have gathered that she has done this before. In fact, twice she has removed Nathaniel AMA from Nexus.
Okay, and all the times that you've tried to contact her to find out that what is going on, has she kept you informed, or has she basically kept you in the dark as far as what's going on with Nathaniel?
Kept me in the dark.
Okay, and what about with regard to Nathaniel's education? Do you know what education level he is at?
He is in grade school level. Kimberly has an education background herself and has been homeschooling him. However, she will not tell me anything about that. So his education is well below his chronological age.
Okay, and as far as Nathaniel, would you agree that he is he's a very large boy?
Based on the metrics given to me by Nexus, yes.
Okay, and then is that an issue with regard to Kimberly being able to handle him?
Oh, yes, definitely. She no longer, and I think in a text message of, I don't know, a year or two back, she said she was having increasing trouble restraining him, or was at the point she no longer could physically restrain him during one of his over-the-top meltdowns.
Okay, and with regard to her calling EMS to come out there and assist her, what did you learn about that?
Well, I knew anecdotally that she had phoned 911 several times. She had complained about sheriff's deputies being too rough with Nathaniel or whatever, and she had talked about suing. I also know that Eagle Creek Volunteer Emergency Services had sent an EMS unit several times, and one of their paramedics there was very helpful to me, very forthcoming, describing a most recent incident.
And what was that most recent incident?
That was one where the medics found Nathaniel lying semi-clothed on the front porch of our house. He was semi-conscious, whether he actually was or was maybe pretending, but with some effort, they got him to respond. And I think Kimberly, or maybe the medic said maybe he was dehydrated. One of the problems with Prader-Willi, they don't like to drink water. They like to eat, but they don't like to drink water. And I believe that Eagle Creek EMS took him to Connolly Memorial, where he was checked out and then sent back home.
Okay. And did you learn of any other incidences with regard to EMS responding to the home in regard to Nathaniel?
Off and on, I've heard of anecdotally of several. The paramedic I spoke with, I believe, had been to the house a year or two earlier. So there is a history with Eagle Creek VMS, Volunteer Emergency Services, which I might add, I used to be a volunteer firefighter there.
Okay. And did you learn of an incident where Nathaniel was half clothed on 181, running down 181?
Yes.
Okay. And Kimberly was the driver at that time, correct?
I'm not quite clear. There might have been two incidents. One time I know of, Nathaniel climbed over the front gate of our 5-acre homestead and started removing his clothes and ran down the road toward 181 with Kim chasing him, and I believe a deputy showing up. There was another time where he was in the car with Kimberly, somehow got out and was running in traffic somewhere. Apparently they were on the side of the road or at a stoplight or something, but it could have ended very badly.
Okay, so in your opinion, do you believe that Kimberly can control Nathaniel?
Absolutely not.
Okay. Do you believe that she is operating in his best interest?
Absolutely not.
Does she, from your experience, does she, if she doesn't like what is being told with regard to his treatment that needs to be done, if it doesn't agree with what she thinks, does she follow the doctor, what the doctors are saying, or does she make her own decisions with regard to Nathaniel?
She follows what the doctors say when they or with what she believes. And this is not just anecdotal. I do recall vividly an incident in Houston. It's a medical center downtown, actually Nathaniel was about 3 or 4 years old, and we had been on a list to meet with a nationally known Prader-Willi expert from Johns Hopkins University, a Dr. Ann Scheiman, who made periodic visits in Houston, and we waited weeks or months to get on a list to see Dr. Scheiman. And we were actually in the examination room, and Kimberly began arguing with Dr. Scheiman, a nationally known expert, and Kimberly got up, took Nathaniel, and stormed out of the examination room, leaving me to police up our other son, Josiah. And it was very embarrassing and it was very inappropriate, but that I saw with my own eyes. And I've heard anecdotally, there have been other incidents, probably at Nexus and elsewhere, in which she has disagreed with medical staff.
Okay. And to your knowledge, Kimberly runs a blog, a website with regard to Nathaniel's condition. Is that correct?
Yes, she has made great hay with that.
Okay. And what do you mean by that?
She has an online persona as an expert in being a special needs parent. And she has blogged at some length about raising Nathaniel and all of the decisions she has to make. And I have actually read a printout of one of her blogs in the last year or two in which she said she does not trust doctors, she does not trust lawyers, she does not trust judges. Basically, she doesn't trust anybody, and she advises her readership of, I don't know, a few dozen people to make their own decisions and do what they think is right, and how successful she has been. Obviously, the reality is different from that.
Okay. And what are your plans should this court modify the order and give you the exclusive right to make the medical decisions for Nathaniel?
Well, should that be the case, my plan is to go to our family home at 106 Eagle Creek Ranch Boulevard with a sheriff's deputy and also a transport ambulance, which I will pay for out of pocket, and to return Nathaniel to the Nexus Children's Hospital in Houston. I have had extensive contact with the admissions coordinator at Nexus, as well as other members, but recently with the admissions coordinator, who assured me that once Nexus has received by email a PDF of a signed court order naming me as the sole decision maker, they will work with me, they will reopen Nathaniel's file, and he will be readmitted to continue his treatment. Now, before I have been in contact with Chief Deputy Clint Garza, who has been very helpful. He has taken interest in this. He realizes the seriousness of this situation. So, and also I am still looking for a non-emergency transport ambulance service in the area to make that 190-mile trip. I do not yet have. I think that the non-emergency EMS services have been reluctant to commit to anything simply because of this unprecedented winter weather. No one wants to be on I-10 when there's still a possibility of ice and jackknifing semi-tractors and all that. So that still have to work out.
And is Nexus a long-term treatment facility, or is it, what is your understanding of the services that Nathaniel can receive through Nexus?
My understanding is that Nexus can hold him for a period of months. It's not a long-term facility. While Nathaniel is in Nexus, should I get him back in there, I will look around for a long-term residential facility, possibly in the San Antonio area. We also have located a Prader-Willi facility in West Texas and Midland. And as I reside in southern New Mexico, the possibility exists of moving him to a staffed home somewhere in New Mexico. But first, we need to get him out of harm's way in the family home and return him to Nexus. And secondly, get his behavior under control, and also get his weight down at even 240 pounds. He is morbidly obese, and that has risks of its own.
Okay. And do you have any other conditions that Nathaniel has with regard to the obesity? Does he have sleep apnea, scoliosis, anything like that?
He has had some sleep apnea. There are concerns about his skeletal structure. I know that one thing about the autism is that he does not handle change well at all. Any change in his routine, he has to be prepared for it. Transitions are very important. And for that reason, when I arrive, should I be legally granted authority to go to the home, gain access and remove him, I anticipate that will be a challenge because his mom will not have prepped him for this change. And so that is a challenge as well.
But your hope is that she will comply and work in Nathaniel's best interest to get him to where he needs to be, correct?
I hope, and I have prayed such, but I'm, hoping for the best, but praying against the worst.
Okay. Since you found out that he was in Nexus, after that, were you made aware of any other hospitals that Mrs. Wright had taken Nathaniel to?
Well, aside from the emergency runs to Connolly here in Floresville, he has been in Dell Hospital in Austin.
And when was he admitted into Dell Hospital?
I don't have that information. I know it was within the last year, but that was very short term.
Okay, was that after Nexus?
Yes, I think it was.
Okay. And so he went to the Dell Children's Hospital in Austin. Is that correct?
Yes.
And do you know how long he was there?
A period of days, I believe.
And to your knowledge, was he also removed from Dell Children's Hospital against medical advice?
That I don't know. I don't think Dell was ever intended to be a medium, to not like Nexus. And also I remember now, he was sent to Clarity.
Okay.
Children's Hospital in San Antonio, which I read has a mission statement saying their goal was to stabilize a troubled child in 4 to 10 days and return him or her to the family home. I believe Nathaniel was there on waiver for nearly 2 weeks. And the person I spoke with said that sometimes there is a waiver. So he was there a bit longer, but again, it was just to stabilize, bring calm to chaos, and return him home. I requested records from Clarity. I have not received them yet. I also requested records from Dell. I don't believe I received those. I did request records from Nexus and received a whole file through a third-party provider. And that was very informative.
Okay. And so since he was at Nexus, he went to Dell Children's Hospital, and then also Clarity in San Antonio.
That is my understanding, yes.
Okay. And did you reach out to Ms. Wright with regard to this proceeding today about her participating?
Yes, ma'am, I did. A few days ago, I sent her a text message, and also I've reproduced that same message in hard copy, and I mailed it to the mailbox at the family home and also to her post office box in Lavernia.
Okay. And what was her response to you with regard to you advising her about these proceedings?
0.
Okay. Did she at one point ask you to look to Austin State Hospital for placement for Nathaniel?
Yes, after Nexus, she texted me and demanded, didn't ask, but demanded that I contact Austin State Hospital about getting Nathaniel in there. I researched it and asked, and Austin State Hospital is not the appropriate facility for a teenager with a genetic disorder and autism. Austin State Hospital has an entirely different mission, and she was turned down and somehow thought that if I contacted Austin State Hospital that doors would open, and they didn't.
Okay. So because of Nathaniel's condition, he needs very specific treatment, and there are very limited places that can provide that for him. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And after your long-term plan for Nathaniel, you had stated after Nexus was to find a long-term treatment facility. Is that correct?
Yes, I think the term is residential treatment, where it'd be a live-in, basically his home with a rotating staff of professionals.
Okay. And that would be something that would be for the rest of Nathaniel's life. Is that correct?
Yes.
And are you also asking this court to, with regard to the child support that you're providing for Nathaniel, that you would want that child support to be put into a special account, a special with regard to that would provide for his treatment and payment for those facilities? Is that correct?
Well, that is true. I would add that my ex-wife has established a Medicare account for Nathaniel. I know I've only been told this. I've never seen any of the information. She doesn't share that with me. But Medicare has paid for most of that as far as the hospital services and treatment and so forth. What I am paying now toward Nathaniel, I would at the very least bank it in a separate account for his needs later.
Correct. But that would be, you're asking for a special needs trust.
Yes. And I believe I might have misspoke. I might have said Medicare. I think it's Medicaid.
Okay. And do you believe that is in Nathaniel's best interest that you be appointed as the conservator who has the exclusive right to make those medical decisions for Nathaniel?
Absolutely, yes.
Ms. Tapia,
Yes.
excuse me, this is Pam, the court reporter. I was bumped off Zoom. So the last thing I have is the answer and it says, and I believe I might have misspoke. I might have said Medicare. I think it's Medicaid. That's the last thing I have.
Okay. And then I asked him if he thought it was and I'll ask it again with court's permission.
Go ahead.
Mr. Kufis, do you believe that it is in Nathaniel's best interest that you be appointed as the conservator who has the exclusive right to make the medical decisions for Nathaniel?
Absolutely, yes.
And are you asking this court to appoint you and Ms. Wright as joint managing conservators and remove her as sole managing conservator?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you believe that that is in Nathaniel's best interest?
Yes, I do. I I need to make the decisions, and decisions need to be made now. I do not want to do my ex-wife what done to me, which is exclude her from our son's life. I do want her to be a part of Nathaniel's life, but he no longer can live with her in the family home, and she clearly no longer can make good decisions regarding his medical care and long-term treatment.
Okay, and are you concerned as well for her safety?
Yes, very clearly. My ex-wife is not a large woman, and if you have a teenager who's 250 pounds or so and 5'10", there is no way, even with low muscle tone, he could body slam her. He could overpower her.
Okay, and
already said that.
And as far as do you know which medications Nathaniel is currently taking?
No, ma'am. I know there is a variety. I think lithium is one. He is also he is on some mood, some prescription drugs for his mood, for his outburst, and because of all the other drugs, he also has to take a stool softener. I have a list somewhere of 7 or 8 entries, I believe, provided by Nexus. I just don't have it in front of me, but very clearly, it requires a skillful manipulation by people who know what they're doing.
Okay. And at some point, were you contacted by Child Protective Services, or did you contact them?
Ma'am, I have been contacted numerous occasions by a representative of Texas CPS.
Okay. And what were those contacts concerning?
Well, wanting to know first initially if I was aware of the problems, if I could confirm certain things such as incidents, and ultimately, and I believe I have spoken with 4 separate CPS investigators, and ultimately wanting to know if I had any plans to intervene. Increasingly, the CPS expressing its concern about Nathaniel's well-being and also his mother's well-being. And I assured CPS that I was taking action, that I had hired a law firm in Floresville, that litigation was planned and indeed had been filed, and that a court hearing was set. It is my belief that CPS would have physically intervened had I not assured CPS that I was taking action.
Okay. And when were you first contacted by CPS?
It would have been last summer after I was made aware of Nexus. And it might have been that Nexus then had my name and contact information on file and perhaps shared it with CPS. I'm a little foggy on the details, but once I stepped into it, then I started receiving phone calls from CPS and indeed from 4 different representatives.
Okay. And to your knowledge, do you know if Ms. Wright ever participated with the CPS investigations?
I have learned that she did answer some questions, that there has been some interaction with a CPS field investigator, but over and over again, I was told that I went to the family home, I parked outside the gate, which was locked, I honked the horn, I waved at the house, and so forth. I saw someone peeking out the window. She never came out. The last time I had contact with CPS with investigator Charlene Ransom of the Floresville jurisdiction, she said she had just in the last day or 2 gone to the family home, parked outside the gate, and understand the locked front gate is 50 yards from the house. We have a considerable setback. She saw Nathaniel standing on the porch. She honked or waved or yelled. He looked at her, he went into the home, and then she said she saw people, probably Kim or Nathaniel, looking through the curtains out at the gate. And that was it. That was the last time I had contact with CPS.
Okay. And to your understanding, what was the end result of the CPS investigation?
Ms. Ransom told me that CPS was closing the case. It had been unable to make any meaningful contact. Kimberly obviously was evading contact with CPS, and in view of my intervention through this court and the lack of contact with Kimberly and Nathaniel, the case was being closed.
Okay. And were you ever informed what the investigation was about?
My understanding, and the term child neglect or child negligence came up a few times. It is my understanding that every time my ex-wife took Nathaniel to a treatment facility or wherever, or maybe not every time, I can't document that, but there were complaints made by medical staff or concerns raised, let me say that, concerns raised about child neglect.
Okay, child neglect, did that also include medical neglect?
Possibly. I think that came up as to Nathaniel being on the right prescription drugs or Kimberly choosing another route for him.
Okay. Is there anything else that you would like the judge to know that that I may have not asked you with regard to Nathaniel and what you're asking the court to do today?
I have tried to make contact with my son. Even I have sent my son mail and it has been returned. This is just from the last 6 months. I believe she has willfully alienated me from my son. The last time I actually was with my son to embrace him, we shared a meal just before Christmas of 2013. Everything was fine. He was not afraid of me. There were no problems. We were estranged. I was living apart, but I had contact with him. Since then, since I have moved to New Mexico in pursuit of a paycheck, I have learned that Nathaniel is afraid of me, that he doesn't want to be around me. Well, if that is true, it is learned behavior. So I believe that my ex-wife has alienated me from my son, does not want me to be part of my son's life at all, other than paying for everything. Most of my paycheck goes to Kimberly Wright for her and my son. And I say most of my paycheck, that is the fact.
Okay, and what do you mean by most of your paycheck?
I work for a small defense contractor as a technical editor. I work on White Sands Missile Range in New Mexico. I have a secret clearance, which also means that I cannot confront my ex-wife and run the risk of a 911 call that leads to my arrest. But the whole time I have been in New Mexico, my ex-wife has received no less than $2,800 a month off the top of my paycheck. I have even had to live in a trailer park to keep my expenses low, to provide for them and also get out of debt. I left the family home in considerable debt, most of which can be attributed to our needs as a special needs family.
Okay, and you have no issue with continuing to support Nathaniel or provide for his special needs or anything like that, correct?
He is my son. Of course, I will provide for him without question.
Okay, and And from 2013 to present, you have tried to make contact and tried to see Nathaniel, but Kimberly refuses to allow you any visitation. Is that correct?
That is correct, even to the point that since I've been in New Mexico, and I've been there 6.5 years now, I have driven 3 or 4 times to New Mexico, and with Christmas presents for Nathaniel in a large plastic bag, I have hung the bag on the locked front gate and honked the horn and waved so that I could at least provide that for Nathaniel.
Okay. And are you also asking the court to modify the visitation that would be in accordance with any treatment that Nathaniel's getting if he's in a residential facility, that it would be advised by his doctors, his therapist, anything like that? Basically, if they say it's good for y'all to see him, that y'all get to see him.
Oh, yes, of course. Again, I do not propose and would never do to my ex-wife what she has done to me, which has kept Nathaniel from me. She has a right to be in his life. Once we have him in a long-term residential setting, she is free to visit him as often as appropriate, and of course, subject to the recommendations or instructions of medical staff. I do know anecdotally that when Nathaniel when she comes to visit Nathaniel, she upsets him. I have learned, and second, third hand, that Nathaniel is fine. Mom shows up to see him. He gets upset when she leaves. He's okay again, and this is recent. And this is information that has been reported.
Okay. All right. I have no further questions for Mr. Kufis, Your Honor, at this point.
Okay, your next witness.
I would call Captain Lopez from the Wilson County. I forget what your place. It's Captain Lopez, Your Honor.
All right, go ahead.
Captain Lopez, would you please state your name for the record?
Yes, my full name is Alex Lopez, and I'm a captain here with District 2 Fire and EMS, formerly known as the Eagle Creek Volunteer EMS Services.
Okay. And how long have you been with District 2?
I've been here since March of 2017.
How have you been? Have you always been an EMS paramedic, or have you been employed in other fields?
No, since 19, I've been a firefighter and as an EMT. And since 2015, I went back to school and got my paramedic. Since me entering the field, I've been an officer at numerous fire departments.
Okay. So you're trained as an EMT and a paramedic?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And have you been in, are you familiar with Kimberly Wright and Nathaniel Kufis?
Yes, ma'am.
And how are you familiar with them?
I personally, on my shift, A shift, have numerous times made calls out to their address on Eagle Creek Ranch Boulevard for Nathaniel.
And that's 106 Eagle Creek Ranch Boulevard, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And what were you the first time you recall? What were you called out there for?
The first time that I can recall, and again, I know that you had subpoenaed medical records from the runs that we've made, and Chief is getting those together for us. But the first call that I made that I can recall going out there was for a temper tantrum. I believe that he had locked himself in the bathroom, and Mother wanted us to go over there and try to see what we can do to get him out of the bathroom.
Okay.
And kind of calm him down.
And what happened when you went out there?
So we went out there. I made contact with the mom. I asked, her what was going on, and she said that basically he had locked himself in the bathroom, that he was really worked up and angry, that we could try to calm him down, but she would state that there's nothing that anybody can do to kind of calm him down and get him out of the bathroom. After maybe about 5 to 10 minutes of my EMTs attempting to calm him down, they were able to non-forcefully and able to get him out of the bathroom and the locked door.
Okay, and what when you got him out of the bathroom, what kind of state was he in?
He was, you could physically tell that he was, worked up. Physically with his weight, it was obvious that he was overweight for his age and size. So we assessed him, we checked out his vital signs and all that good stuff, and advised him on what she wanted to do with him. And she stated at that time, I believe, on that incident, and there's multiple incidences, but on that incident that she wanted us to transport him to get evaluated at the ER.
Okay.
At Conley.
And when you say that he was overweight for his age and everything, how old was it when this happened?
This is probably the first. So I myself have been going out there for years. When I first started, I want to say it was like towards the end of 2017, beginning of 18 is when I first made contact with Nathaniel.
Mhm.
Since then, I've made him multiple times, a handful of times, maybe 5 or 6. And that's just for my shift alone. There is 3 shifts here that work, and numerous other paramedics that I know that have made him. But she wanted us to take him in to get, evaluated and checked out. And his physical state, it was obvious that he was overweight for his age. We would put the number at about anywhere from 275 to 300 pounds.
Okay. And did you transport him to Conley Medical at that time?
My crew at the time did, yes, ma'am. They took him to Conley Memorial for evaluation.
Okay. And then the next time you recall the next time that you made contact with Nathaniel and Ms. Wright?
Like I said, there's multiple times. The most recent times were towards the end of last year.
Okay.
The ones that I'm a little bit, concerned about was one time we were called out there for Nathaniel being just worked up again, in her terms. When she calls 911, the dispatcher will ask her, hey, what's the problem with it, or what's the issue? And it's basically, or usually, Nathaniel just throwing a temper tantrum and wanting us to go out there and check him out. But we arrived on scene. I was there for the whole scene and the whole incident. There was about 4 Wilson County deputies on scene, and they were advising me that they needed help to get Nathaniel calmed down. Nathaniel was located in his mother's vehicle on the passenger side at the gate closest to the main road. She has a driveway that's probably a couple of 100 feet from the road all the way up to the home.
Okay.
But he was in the vehicle on the passenger side without clothes on. And so what was going on is she stated that they were leaving somewhere. They were trying to go out and I guess run some errands, and that they ended up getting into an altercation with words. Nathaniel got worked up and then began to take his clothes off and began to get in an argument with his mother. Can you give me 1 second, ma'am? I'm sorry.
Sure.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. I'm at the station right now. I've been on duty for the past 3 days here with the storm going on and all that. But so he, I made contact with the lead deputy that was there and asking him what the game plan was to calm down Nathaniel and see what's going on with them. And I verbally myself tried to talk to Nathaniel. Mom has told us many times that talking about camp and certain other things would help him kind of calm down and help with the situation. So I tried that. Nathaniel was still really worked up, began to throw rocks at us. hitting one of my one of my other firefighters that were there. Nothing major came out of it or anything like that. But what ended up happening is the officers decided that he was going to have to be restrained with force. They went around the back of the vehicle and were able to restrain him. He wasn't an arrest or anything like that, but they were just able to detain him and restrain him for us. And then we proceeded to put him on the stretcher and get him taken to Conley once again for evaluation. At this point, I've already made Nathaniel, numerous times. And my concern that with her, which I've expressed multiple times, that these trips, these ER trips to Conley, aren't going to really be doing him any good. That he needed further care for the condition that he was in and the situation that he was in. ER departments just basically they get a patient and they treat him for something emergent at that point in time. There was multiple times that I've talked with mom and tried helping her understand that this is something long-term that he needs in the sense of care and not short-term.
And what is her response when you've talked to her about that?
That I don't know what I'm talking about. And again, this was just all opinions and trying to help her out any which way I can, but that I don't know what I'm talking about, that she would go basically from, I don't know what I'm talking about, that I shouldn't be speaking, who's my supervisor, I want to speak to him, to a couple of minutes pass, and one of the deputies, was surprised on how well we handled Nathaniel. And again, because of the numerous times that we've been out there, and there is a connection that we have with him, that she even told the deputies, well, wow, I really like these guys coming out here. They help out a lot with being able to calm Nathaniel down and so on. But basically, when I would recommend stuff like that, she would just not have it. I took it up to the chain of command, and my fire chief was informed, and then our medical director, Dr. Greg Ogden, was contacted and informed of the situation. From my understanding, with Dr. Ogden and Adam Marconi, our fire chief here, who is also our EMS director, they've had conversations, and I know that Dr. Ogden has contacted people at the state level for the reason of a lot of the medics that have ran Nathaniel here, just for his general, health and concern for him and the well-being of him.
Okay. And when you say that they've contacted state authorities, to your knowledge, which state authorities have they contacted?
CPS, some psych evaluation doctors, from what I was told, things of that nature.
Okay. And based on your department.
Ms. Tapia,
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Tapia, I'm sorry. I got booted off again. This is Pam.
Yeah.
The last answer I have is that I granted Nathaniel here just for his general, health and concern for him and the well-being of him. That's the last thing I have.
Okay. And I believe
Can you repeat your last question?
yes. So to your
He was
knowledge,
talking about, yeah.
sorry. I'm sorry. She froze.
I was saying he was talking about Dr. Ogden. Yeah.
Okay. So what has Dr. Ogden done, to your knowledge, with regard to the situation with y'all responding to Nathaniel and Mrs. Wright when you have to respond out to the home?
Yeah, so we've informed him, and many of the paramedics here had conversations with him, not only after the call, but during the call. Sometimes there's situations where we have to call our medical director and inform of what's going on, if we take too long on a scene. But he's been contacted numerous times about Nathaniel, and has advised us that, unless it's an emergency medical call, where something actually is wrong with Nathaniel, that, we have the right basically to tell her that, hey, he doesn't need emergency medical, treatment now. He needs long-term, and you need to figure out what you can do to get him into a long-term treatment facility. But on our end, we advised her that, whatever we can do to help out, if she just needs numbers or anything like that, that we can, but Dr. Ogden has contacted CPS, from my understanding, as well as numerous of other agencies that I don't want to just make up words, but I've been told that they've been contacted, as psych doctors as well, for evaluation for him.
Okay. Have you responded out to the home when Daniel has been unresponsive at any time?
Yes, ma'am. Another incident, we were called out for Nathaniel possibly having seizures out there. When my ambulance crew got there, it got to the point to where my fire chief, also the EMS director, wanted a supervisor to always go out there with the responding guys, just because of the situations that we've encountered with Nathaniel's mother and Nathaniel. But this incident, we arrived, Nathaniel was laying on the porch outside during the day in his underwear. We went up to Nathaniel, we started assessing him, and figuring out if he actually had a seizure. Was he postictal, meaning, he just burned up a lot of energy in his body and now is just really tired and sleepy, or, let's just figure out what's going on and get some vital signs from him. So they started to obtain vital signs and figure out what was going on. I know mother has told us that he does have a history of seizures, and we take everything, serious, no matter what the situation is or who it is with. So I began to speak with her and figuring out what's going on. She she did show concern in the sense of like, hey, he's possibly having a seizure, but sometimes that he does play quote unquote possum at times with her. Again, like I said, we take everything seriously. And so we got him off the ground, got him onto our stretcher, and then we got him loaded, and transported to the hospital for further evaluation. But
Was
again,
he the whole time during the transport?
From my understanding, so I would have to look at the records of the transporting paramedic, but from when I was there until we closed the back of the ambulance doors, when the last time I could physically see him, he was not responsive at all.
Okay.
In the sense of, he still had a pulse, he was still breathing, he just wasn't mentally responsive to word, us touching him or anything like that.
Okay. And all the times that you get called out, do you typically get called out because there's an issue between mom and Nathaniel that she can't control him, or is it an actual medical emergency?
So like out of the handful of times that I've been there, for 911 calls, they have been more so because she gets to the point, from my personal opinion, she gets to the point to where she can't deal with him anymore, in the sense of, I guess, just raising him as a special needs, a son. And she tends to call us out there to help out in the sense of calming him down, talking to him, things like that. Yes, ma'am, I would say more so than an actual, medical emergency that's actually going on with the thing.
Okay. And with your interactions with her and what you see, I mean, in your opinion, do you think that she can handle him?
No, ma'am. My personal opinion, I don't think that she can handle him. Like I said, he is for sure past the threshold of 250 pounds. He's more so closer to 300 pounds in my personal opinion. With him, he can get irate, and he can, I've seen him do it where he can flip the switch, so to say, and he could challenge. He presented troubles to my crews, and we're all usually around 5'11" to 6'1", 6'3", solid guys, and it's taken multiple guys at a handful of times here and there where we have to kind of physically restrain him and get him transported to the hospital for evaluation. And that's out of concern of safety for my crew, me and my crew, which we are protocoled to be able to do that with soft restraints and things like that, leading up to the point of chemical restraint if needed, which from my understanding has never reached that point. But personally speaking, no, ma'am, I think she's just mentally kind of checked out. It can be physically draining for anybody just to be able to even raise a child on their own, let alone a special needs child.
Okay, and has your department changed any of their policy with regard to responding to calls to the residents?
Not necessarily. Again, we treat every call as a true emergency until we get there and we're able to do our assessment. It's not one of those where, they cry wolf and, it gets to the point to where we don't, we just don't go. We go to the scene, but don't go lights and sirens. We don't do that at all whatsoever. Every call that dispatch pushes through is going to get treated as a 911 call, and protocols will never change for that, no matter what.
Have y'all had to instruct her that, y'all are not to be used as far as de-escalating situations, that it should be for a true medical emergency?
Yes, ma'am. Correct. Yeah. So I personally have helped her do research for numbers there at the home. I've tried to help her in any which way possible, humanly possible, to get her to understand that he needs to go into a long-term facility care for Nathaniel. I've had Dr. Ogden speak to her numerous times over the phone while we're there. The officer on duty has a separate phone that they carry. That's a 24/7 phone, it's a cell phone. And I've contacted Dr. Ogden multiple times to the point to where you could see that, he would show frustrations in the sense of dealing with her. And that's when he got to the point where he contacted state because she was abusing the 911 system in the sense of calling us out there just to calm Nathaniel down or talk to him about, what's going on and things like that, which I have expressed to her myself as well. I've dealt with her. She knows me on a first name basis multiple times that, ma'am, look, we're here to help in any which way we can, but we are a 911 responding department, and we need to be readily available for the next emergency is how we plan when we come into work. Just always be ready for the next one. And she's never like that. She has been verbally combative in the sense of, showing her frustrations on that end. Whenever I would personally inform her that, we can't just be coming out here all the time to calm Nathaniel down for you.
And what do you mean by verbally combative?
Just cursing us out. She would go from one extreme to the other. She would curse us out and use foul language, not only to me, but to the deputies. I feel personally that I'm able to de-escalate situations a little bit better than a lot of other people. Maybe this just comes with the training that I've obtained with my job, but there's been times where she's been verbally, and using foul language to not only me, but the deputies. And we've had to talk amongst ourselves, and I end up usually being the one to go talk to her to calm her down, and advise, hey, we're here to help you. We're not your enemies or anything like that. But again, we can't come out here for just because he's throwing a temper tantrum and you're unable to calm him down. That has been explained to her multiple times on both ends of the deputies and our fire and EMS departments, which I would say personally, the deputies have probably been out there more than we have.
Okay, and so when y'all address her and you advise her of that, that's when she becomes verbally abusive. And
yeah, she'll use foul language. She'll kind of walk away from us for a couple of minutes. I wouldn't approach her. I would let her calm down, and then I'd go to her and explain to her, hey, like, we're here to help you. We're here to do whatever we can, but you need to understand that when you dial 911, it's for emergency services. I've told her numerous times as well when this first started happening, and we were trying to work with her diligently, is there's even non-emergent numbers you can call, and we don't mind coming out there once in a while to help out, but this can't be an everyday thing. it's not a service that's there just all the time. You are a resident, and we try to provide the best services possible to our residents, but this can't be abused either as well. And so she would understand this. She would calm down and then thank us and whatnot. My concern is just that she would go from one extreme to the other in the sense of foul language, and then 5 minutes later thanking us for what happened, and handling Nathaniel, getting him to come out of the bathroom.
Okay, all right. All right, that's all I have for now, Your Honor.
All right, so may that witness be released?
Yes, Your Honor.
You are released.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Lopez.
No problem. Thank you.
Stay safe.
All right, your next witness.
Sasha Griffith from Nexus, Your Honor.
And I think I see where this is going. So if you could move on succinctly, I need to do a couple other things later this morning. Go ahead, Ms. Tapia.
Oh, thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Griffith, would you please state your name for the record?
Sasha Griffith.
And how are you employed?
I'm a nurse case manager at Nexus Children's Hospital.
And how long have you been in that position?
Approximately 1 year.
Okay. And how did you come to know Nathaniel and Kufis and Kimberly Wright?
Nathaniel was admitted to our Prader-Willi program for weight loss management as well as behavioral management.
And what does your Prader-Willi program entail?
It is a structured behavior setting. The children are on a strict schedule. There's high food security. We have a registered dietitian that is familiar with PWS, and which is Prader-Willi syndrome, and she manages their caloric intake. They are also seen by a BCBA, which is someone who specializes in behavioral analysis. We do also have physical, occupational, and speech therapy that the children participate in. And then there's 24/7 nursing, psychiatric care from a physician, as well as a psychiatric nurse practitioner, and a pediatrician is also on staff as well.
Okay, so it's a full service program for children with Prader-Willi syndrome, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And was that also addressing Nathaniel's autistic needs as well?
Yes.
Okay, and is that part of the program as well?
Yes, there's the behavioral analysis, and is also specializes in working with autistic children.
Okay, and when was Nathaniel admitted to Nexus?
I'm not sure of the exact date, but it was this past summer.
Okay, and the contact that you had with mom, was she compliant with what being recommended by the program?
For the most part, yes.
Okay, and how was Nathaniel doing in the program?
Nathaniel was doing well. He was progressing nicely with his weight loss towards the goal set by the dietitian. The psychiatrists were still titrating medications as his behaviors were still dysregulated, but he had been making improvements throughout his stay.
And when you say titrating medications, you mean adjusting to it as his needs were changing and evolving. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Prior to him being admitted there, had his, to your knowledge, had his medications been reviewed any time within the last year?
Not that I know of, but that was information that was provided to the psychiatrist on admission.
Okay. And why did Nathaniel leave the facility?
Ms. Wright removed him against medical advice. She stated that her reasoning was that the hurricane was coming, and also that his father was stalking them, and that we violated her court order referencing the divorce decree.
Okay, and you were provided with copies of the court order, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And that court order allowed for Mr. Kufis to obtain information with regard to his son's medical treatment. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And you abided by the court order, and that's all you did was just provide him with information with regard to his son's medical treatment.
Correct, yes.
Okay. And so Mr. Kufis has testified that he's been in contact with the Nexus facility, and that should he be granted the exclusive right to make the medical decisions for Nathaniel, that Nathaniel will be allowed to come back to Nexus. Is that your understanding?
Yes, I spoke with our chief medical officer, Dr. John Cassidy, and he said that as long as the master treatment plan will be followed and adhered to by the parent, then Nathaniel would be welcome back at Nexus to complete his treatment.
Okay, and the treatment plan, how long is the treatment plan?
It depends on each child. The weight loss goal has its own length of stay, and I would have to evaluate where he's currently at in his weight to where the dietitian feels he would need to be. Behaviorally, it depends on how he responds. Typically, we have an average length of stay of about 60 days.
Okay, and then typically where are they released to after that?
It's dependent on what the parent, what their goal is. If the goal is to reintegrate back into the community and the home, or if it's to have the child placed in a long-term residential facility.
And does Nexus assist with finding a long-term residential facility for those patients that are in need of that?
Yes, our case management department, which I am the director of, we assist the families in locating placement, but it is also a kind of a give and take. So the families need to be active participants in that as well.
Okay. I have no further questions, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. May this witness be excused?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Griffith, you are excused. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, your next witness,
That would be Kimberly Schultz from CPS, Your Honor.
go ahead.
Thank you. Ms. Schultz, would you please state your name for the record?
Kimberly Schulte.
And I'm sorry, I called you Schultz. I called you Schultz, not Schultze. And how are you employed, Ms. Schultz?
I'm an investigator with Child Protective Services.
And how long have you been employed in that position?
About 8 years.
Okay. And you were assigned to the investigation with regard to Kim Wright and Nathaniel Kufis, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And when were you assigned that investigation?
That would have been mid to late September of 2020.
Okay. And prior to that, when did CPS open up a case with regard to Nathaniel and Miss Wright?
Prior to my investigation, there had been a couple other investigations. The specific dates escape me at the moment, but I believe the first one was in 2017.
Okay. And do you know why that case was open?
Concerns for the medical neglect of Nathaniel Kufis.
Okay. And were you also contacted because he was being physically abusive towards her and had pulled a knife on her?
I received multiple investigations. There were concerns that he was physically aggressive with his mother. In terms of the knife specific, I don't recall.
Okay. And when Nathaniel was taken to behavioral facilities, were y'all contacted with regard to that?
Yes.
Okay. And to your knowledge, which behavioral facilities was Nathaniel taken to?
In terms of my case specific or historically?
Historically.
I believe that at one point in time he was in Laurel Ridge. And he's been at Children's Hospital in San Antonio, along with Austin, Dell Children's. And I do know that he was in Nexus on a couple of occasions. Other than that, I'm not 100% sure.
Okay. And to your knowledge, was in the majority of these cases, was Nathaniel removed against medical advice from the majority of these places by his mother?
Yes.
And when you were assigned the case, was Nathaniel in a facility?
He was not in a facility. He was in the Children's Hospital of San Antonio.
Okay. And what did your investigation entail?
Our investigation entailed, I did send somebody up to see Nathaniel at the hospital. He was very combatant, not really, wouldn't speak with us, very combatant with hospital staff. From there, I attempted on multiple occasions to contact Miss Wright because there were concerns that she wasn't actively participating in the discharge plan with the hospital. So I was actively trying to contact her so that we could get a plan in place for Nathaniel's discharge and figure out, because the hospital was wanting to readmit him to Nexus and mom was not wanting to do so.
Okay. Do you know why mom was not wanting to do so?
I believe conflict with staff.
Okay. And so were you ever able to make contact with Miss Wright?
I was not.
Did you go out to the home yourself?
Yes, I did.
What happened when you went out there?
I was met with a locked gate.
Okay. With regard to the medical neglect of Nathaniel, what was the department's concerns?
That his the medical care was not specific to his needs, that he was needing further aftercare that the Children's Hospital was not able to provide, and that overall his aftercare from being discharged from hospitals was not appropriate to his needs.
Okay. Were there concerns with the department with regard to the possibility that Miss Wright was not properly medicating Nathaniel?
That's hard to say considering I never made contact with her. But there were concerns that the medication was being asked to be switched per each stay at a facility or hospital or.
So the department's history with her is that every time that Nathaniel was admitted to a place, she was constantly asking that facility to change his medication.
Yes.
Okay. And that could be, I believe the last time, the time that you came on the case, how many times had Nathaniel been to a facility from when you were assigned the case this past summer?
The past September.
Yes.
When my original intake came in, he was at Children's Hospital. From there, I do believe he was finally discharged home. He went to Conley Memorial for an evaluation. He also went to Dell Children's during my investigation. And there was also concerns, although I cannot confirm, that she was attempting to try a couple hospitals in Houston as well, but I cannot confirm that.
Okay. To your knowledge, was Nathaniel also at Clarity in San Antonio during that time?
That I do not recall.
Okay. And so your testimony was that at each of these places, she was, one of the concerns was that she was attempting to have his medication adjusted and changed.
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am.
Did the department have a concern that Miss Wright may have a condition called Munchausen by proxy as well?
I'm not a medical or psychological to be able to diagnose that or have a specific concern, but we did have concerns that she was continually seeking treatment with the intent of changing medications. So we did have concerns about that on a medical aspect.
Okay, but in the CPS records, if it specifically states that there's a concern with regard to Munchausen, you wouldn't dispute that, correct? In your official records. that you provided by subpoena?
No, I can't dispute it.
Okay. I'm not asking you to make a medical diagnosis. I'm just referencing what is in your records. But it is a concern of the department that with regard to Nathaniel's medications and her seeking changes constantly. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. We're in all the investigations that were started with Ms. Wright, did she at any point ever comply with any of the investigators as far as meeting with the investigators or talking to them or getting assistance or help?
No, ma'am.
Did numerous investigators try to make contact with Ms. Wright from 2017 to when you were assigned the case?
Yes, ma'am.
And to your knowledge, none of those investigators, she never cooperated with any of them?
No, ma'am.
So y'all were never able to determine whether there was any neglect with regard to medical neglect or any other type of neglect for Nathaniel?
No, our findings were consistent with unable to determine, which means neither yes nor no. It just we didn't have a sufficient amount of evidence to make a determination.
Okay. And did y'all close out the case?
Yes, ma'am.
Was that because Mr. Kufis was seeking to modify with regard to him being the conservator that has the exclusive right to make the medical decisions for Nathaniel?
Yes, ma'am. That's why my investigation was closed. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And did you make contact with Mr. Kufis?
I did, yes.
Okay. And was Mr. Kufis compliant with the information that you were seeking?
Yes, ma'am. He was very cooperative with me.
Okay. And when he discussed his plans for Nathaniel in readmittance to Nexus and a potential long-term care facility, is that something that the department would agree with?
Yes, if the facility is able to meet his medical, mental health and all other needs, then yes, the department would feel it was in his best interest.
Is it the department's plan that should Mr. Kufis be granted what he's asking for from this court, is the department going to go back in and do an evaluation since Mr. Kufis would be compliant and would allow the department to do what they needed?
I don't quite know the answer to that. In terms of myself, no. If there was another concern or another intake called into the department, then yes, at that point, I believe another investigator would be assigned and they would look at the allegations accordingly.
Okay. And so at this point, the department's investigation has been closed out just because you have not been able to get any cooperation from Ms. Wright. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, but it has not been able to determine whether or not there has been any neglect, medical or otherwise.
Right. Our disposition for the medical neglect was deemed unable to determine.
Okay. All right. I have no further questions, Your Honor.
All right. And may Ms. Schultze be excused?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Schultze, you are excused. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Judge.
All right. Anything else, Ms. Tapia?
Your Honor, we also have in our pleadings, we ask that the court adjust Mr. Kufis's child support based on guidelines. So I would like to put on some testimony with regard to Mr. Kufis's.
Go ahead.
Okay, Mr. Kufis. You need to unmute yourself.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Kufis, your current child support is $1,800 a month. Is that correct?
Currently, let me break it down this way. I am paid twice a month. Each paycheck, $1,400 is automatically deposited to my ex-wife's bank account. So that's a total of $2,800 a month, of which we could say $1,400 is for Nathaniel.
Okay.
And
So
what's the rest for?
For Kimberly, from that amount, the mortgage on the house is paid. That's approximately $1,000.
he's basically paying spousal support right now, Your Honor, and we're going to, that's going to be a different issue down the road that we're going to handle. So what is your current net income?
My gross is approximately $81,000 a year. Of course, from that comes state, New Mexico, and federal taxes, my own medical, and so forth. Currently, I take home per paycheck just over $1,000.
Okay. So are you asking the court to assess child support that is within the guidelines?
Yes, ma'am.
And you said your gross income is how much per year?
Just over $81,000 a year, gross.
So $6,750 per month would be your gross?
Well, yeah, okay. If that, before taxes, before medical, and so forth, I pay for my own health insurance, which I had to use extensively.
Okay, and as far as health insurance for Nathan, you had testified that he's on Medicaid. Do you also have insurance come out for Nathan from your check?
No, I don't. In years past, I made the offer, and my ex-wife turned it down.
Okay. So in accordance with guidelines, you're asking the court to modify to you're currently paying $1,400, is that correct?
$1,400 a month from one paycheck for, I guess you'd say, Nathaniel, $1,400 a month from the other paycheck for Kimberly.
Okay, so so you're asking to modify it to approximately 1,066, which would be within guidelines, is that correct?
Yes, whatever the guidelines are.
Okay.
I said that. I said paycheck.
And that's all I had, Your Honor, with regard to that.
Okay, and who is this going to be paid to?
Well, we're asking that it be paid to a special needs trust for Nathaniel for basically for anything that's not covered by insurance.
Okay.
So, since the goal is to place Nathaniel, should it be needed, into a long-term residential care facility.
Okay. And are you asking that Nathaniel's mother pay child support?
No, Your Honor, we're not asking that she pay child support.
Go ahead, ma'am.
So, Your Honor, that's all I have for Mr. Kufis. And I would just ask the court that based on the evidence and the testimony, that the court modify the current orders to appoint Mr. Kufis and Ms. Wright as joint managing conservators, giving Mr. Kufis the exclusive right to make the medical decisions for Nathaniel Kufis, and that the child support be adjusted and placed into a special needs trust for Nathaniel Kufis, and that the court enjoin Ms. Wright from removing Nathaniel from any medical short or long-term care facilities, and enjoin her from denying any access by Mr. Kufis to Nathaniel asking her that she execute all necessary releases with regard to HIPAA and any other information that Mr. Kufis may need so he can get the treatment for Nathaniel that is needed. And that is, I'm just making sure that I'm covering everything. That would be what we were asking the court today with regard to temporary orders, and we will come back for interim orders with regard to the spousal support at a later date.
All right. And in case we get to October, are you wanting, or has there already been a finding that Nathaniel will not be able to support himself and that child support should continue after his 18th birthday?
Yes, Your Honor, my client is fine with that. So.
Okay, I'll make all the required findings and say that that's in Nathaniel's best interest, the relief sought. And I don't know that we can get a file stamped copy of the order today, but if you will send that proposed order to me directly or post it here in chat, I will sign it and I'll email it to the clerk's office, or actually I will e-file it. So it will not be accepted, but you can get a copy via e-file.
Okay.
Assuming the e-file system is up.
I'm pretty sure it is, Your Honor. And just for the court's notice, we are on the docket tomorrow for a writ of habeas corpus and a writ of attachment, because we do not expect that Ms. Wright is going to comply with the current order. So,
okay.
But as soon as I get the file stamped order, then I will be attaching that and filing it with the writ of attachment and habeas.
Judge, if the it's Deborah Bryan here, we can go ahead and accept it through e-file.
Oh, okay,
so
okay.
you can get a copy of it.
All right. Well, I will sign that as soon as it reaches me.
Okay, so just go ahead and e-file it then. Is that what you're saying, Debbie?
Well, that's going to make her have to send it to my queue. If you can just post it in chat or email it to me directly, I'll sign it and I will e-file it. That'll. Plus, the coordinator's office is closed, so they're going to be able to give it to me unless they try and sign on from the house. So just send it directly to me would be better.
Okay, I will do that. I'll put that together now, Your Honor.
Okay, and
may we be excused, or is there anything else that the court needed from us?
I don't believe so. Is there, Ms. Noble?
Hi, yes, Your Honor. Can you hear me okay?
Yes. Excuse me, Ms. Tapia.
Hi, I'm counsel for San Miguel in the Peeler matter, and I'm in Houston. The counsel on that case are spread throughout Texas, and we had a hearing today on the Peeler's motion for summary judgment. The parties agreed yesterday that they would pass on that hearing, but I speak for myself, but it's the Peeler's motion. We emailed Miss Riley about it, and I didn't know, I have very spotty internet, but I saw on the YouTube channel that you had asked for our case and no one appeared. So I wanted to just make an appearance and let you know that that's what was going on.
Yes, I understand that things like that are going on, and we initially pushed the open back for the coordinator's office until 10 a.m. and then the courthouse and the county offices were just closed. So we closed the coordinator's office with the county in Atascosa County. So that's fine. Just reset on request is good.
Great.
And Ms. Brandy Nicole, what sort of case did you have?
Yes, I'm here. I was for my divorce.
Okay, all right, Ms. Noble, you're excused. And are you ready to proceed on that?
Yes.
And do you have your proposed divorce decree?
Yes, I do.
And do I have a copy of it?
You should.
Let me see.
Okay.
Okay, I've heard this case before, it looks like.
Yes.
And what are we coming back for? Was there something missing or?
So, yeah, his signature. He didn't want to sign, but then he came down to Texas and he signed. I couldn't reach him because he was out of state.
All right. Okay, it looks like the last thing that was filed in this case was on July the 6th.
Yes.
Okay, well, was that the answer or his signature on the divorce decree? It doesn't even look like he's been served.
Yes,
The respondent's original answer. Here it is. Okay, he filed an answer. Okay, and you have his divorce to have a decree signed by him.
yes.
Okay, I don't have a copy of it.
Okay, I took it. I took it, I guess, about 2 weeks ago over
All
there.
right, to the district clerk's office.
Yes. Yes, sir.
All right, you understand, ma'am, that they're closed today. What I'm going to ask, I guess it's sitting here. No. Okay. What I'm going to ask you to do is, did I go through all the questions asking you about where you lived and if you're everything like that with your divorce previously, or did I just say we didn't have a signature and not go any farther?
I can't remember. You asked me some questions.
Okay. All right. Did I swear you in?
No, sir.
Okay. All right. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you may give in the matter now on trial will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And your name is?
Brandy Harper.
Okay. And you are married to who?
Bradley Huggins.
Okay. Bradley Huggins, you were breaking up. Hello?
Yes, I'm sorry. Bradley Huggins.
Okay, man. Let's see
Yes,
if
can you hear me?
we can do. You're still breaking up. And when did you marry Mr. Huggins?
2016 of March.
How many children have been born to you since that date?
No children.
Okay. Because I saw there was looks like a young child on the picture that was when you didn't have your video camera going. So is that child older than your?
Yes, that child's before our marriage.
Okay.
Wait, not with him.
All right, that's not my question. My question is, okay, so there have been no children born to you at all since the date of your marriage.
Correct.
Are you expecting any children, a child?
No, sir.
Have you adopted any children during the time of your marriage?
No, sir.
All right. Have either you or your husband filed for bankruptcy?
No.
Okay. Were you a resident of Wilson County for 90 days and Texas for 6 months before this lawsuit was filed last February?
Yes.
Now, I probably told you this before, but the law in Texas presumes that everything a married person owns is community property. It's not a matter of whether you and Bradley are fighting over something. Anything that's valuable enough that there might be a lawsuit over it one day, it needs to be spelled out in the divorce decree who gets it. Because if the divorce decree doesn't spell out either that it's community property and it's being divided up, or say it's not community property because, for instance, it was owned before the marriage, if one of those two things doesn't happen, then the law presumes that I forgot to divide it as the judge, and that the two of you still own it together as, even though you're divorced. So is there anything that's not written down in the divorce decree that needs to be added to it?
No, we have no property. No.
Okay. All right, so does the divorce decree just provide that each of you is going to keep whatever property is in your possession?
Yes.
And does it provide a date that says after that date, each of you is going to pay your own debts?
Yes.
Okay. All right, I'll find out jurisdiction, and the marriage between the two of you has become insupportable due to a discord or conflict of personalities. Is that true?
Yes.
Find I have jurisdiction to hear this matter. The divorce has been on file for more than a year. There's a original answer that's been on file for a number of months, and assuming I have the signed divorce decree, I will proceed with this. The petitioner had been a resident of Wilson County for 90 days and Texas for 6 months before the lawsuit was filed. The marriage between the parties has become undermined due to a discord or conflict of personalities, and there's no present likelihood of reconciliation. There were no children born or adopted during the marriage, and none are expected. And I'll find that the proposed division of the marital property and debts is just, fair, and equitable. And I will approve it and pronounce the divorce in open court. All right, ma'am, there's also a form that you have to give to the clerk's office. It's called a BVS, or Bureau of Vital Statistics form. It's just a little fill in the blank form that has to be filled out that reports this marriage up to Austin. Have you filed one of those with the district clerk's office?
No, sir.
Okay, if you will just BVS, or Bureau of Vital Statistics, if you'll go online, you'll be able to find one of those. If you'll get that filled out and get it to the district clerk's office after you get that done, and after I've signed the divorce decree, you'll be able to get a copy of your divorce decree.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Okay, I think that's it. I appreciate you being here, Ms. Bryant. I appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
Ms. Marcinic, and I will.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, y'all have a good day.
Thank you,
Thank
Judge.
you. You too.
We'll see what we're doing.